Welcome, everybody, to the first episode of the AI Impact Podcast. I'm here with Heath Shearon, and he's kind of an insurance professional. He's got a lot going on. He has his own podcast. Really great guy. Super happy to have him on here, and I'm happy to have you for the first episode of this podcast, man. I'm excited to dive right into it. Give us a little bit of intro about yourself.
Yes, sir, man. I'm looking forward to it as well, and I'm glad to be the first, the first guest. Being as that's what I love to do is podcast and beyond podcast, and it's so much fun. And so, I am in the insurance space, 23 years in the business, and I've owned my own agencies. I've been in consulting, and I've worked at carrier spaces, and now, I work with the largest insurtech company in our space. And one of the things I want to talk to you guys today about is Agency Zoom, our CRM software, and we use AI quite a bit. So I was interested in being on here. So I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Of course. Yeah. Let's go right into it. Tell me, so I know you gave us a little bit of information about your business, but what is it exactly that you're providing? I know you're in the insurance agency. Are you like a licensed insurance agent? You're selling insurance, or is it more the tech side of thing? Give me a little bit more info there.
Yeah, Vertifor, we're obsessed with the customer journey. We're obsessed with the customer life cycle, with insurance distribution. We're obsessed with just the insurance business in general, and we want to help our clients, which are insurance agents, carriers, brokers, and whatnot, to be able to grow in their business. And so we have 18 different solutions, probably more than that, but I probably just butchered that. But we have a lot of solutions that we have within our space. Some of them are related to agency management systems. Some of them are, CRMs. Some of them are specific, DocuSign or, some sort of space to help document management, things of that nature. So we're just, like I said, we're just obsessed with that customer experience. And we believe that the modern agency should be as well.
Nice. Awesome. And how's all of that going for you? How long have you been in that business?
Yeah, like I said, I've been in the business for over 20 years, but Vertifor has been around. Gosh, I wish I should know this. I've been a long time, and so I would say almost 50 years, probably, if not more. I have no idea. I just know that they've been around a long time, and they have been. I just lost my camera for a minute, so I apologize. I'll just keep rocking though. Okay, there we go. We're back. I just had to turn into a Martian for a minute. I turned green, but so yeah, we've been around for a long time. And it's going really well. Like I said, we're the 800-pound gorilla in our space, and so we tend to be innovative, and we tend to be on the forefront and the cutting edge in the bleeding edge, so to speak, of AI, for example. That's why I'm excited to be here today.
Awesome. I love it. And let's go a little bit more into that. As far as the AI and the automations that you're offering to the industry, what does that look like?
Yeah, so we feel like the modern agency should be obsessed, like we said, with that customer experience. And so if you imagine when you come in the door, as a client to a modern agency, insurance agency, we whether it's by phone call, whether you're walking in the agency, whatever it might be, we have our CRM set up with sales funnels and pipelines. And so someone walks in, and let's say Brandon walks into my agency and becomes a prospect. We're going to put you in the prospect funnel, and immediately that triggers automations and workflows that happen behind the scenes. Workflows internally on what to do next, and then externally, you might get a text message from my agency that says, "Hey, Brandon, thanks for stopping by the agency today, blah, blah, blah." Or an automation may go out that's an email that'll say, "Hey, we've got your information started. We're quoting you right now. We'll get back to you as soon as we have some more information." Or it's up to each individual agency what they want to set up in that workflow. And then as you move through your customer life cycle with us, let's say we get you a quote, you decide you like it and you want to write business with us, then we move you into the sold business pipeline. And let's say, then you'll get an email from us automatically, or an automation that says, "Thanks you for being a customer of the Heath Shearon agency. And then it might trigger 5 more. Here's a list of all our employees. Here's also a calendar of events that we've got going on at the agency. We're going to have a fish fry in the parking lot Friday at 5, or Here's a Christmas card that's going to come out to you in December. All these different automations that go out based on however the agency sets that up, if that makes any sense. And then
Yeah.
internally, it automates workflows to say, Sally, the customer service rep, needs to make sure that they send this stuff out or do this at this time or set up this information, things of that nature. So, we've got that as also an automation in the background.
Dude, that's really cool. That's really cool. So like the moment somebody comes into your ecosystem, they are being, put into automated workflows and getting moved along that pipeline, if you will, within that
Yep.
agency. That's really cool.
Yeah, it is.
Can you give me an idea, right? So like imagine I was a insurance agent or agency that was interested in your product. What kind of difference would that make for me monetarily by utilizing your product?
Yeah, I think monetarily, I think it's just going to help because it's going to set you apart. It's going to set you apart from the guy down the street or your competition because they may not be doing that. And historically, in the insurance space, we get known for kind of the sleazy sales guy, or we get lumped in with the used car salesman. It just wants the next dollar bill or whatever it might be. And the biggest phrase that we hear in our space, especially when you're shopping insurance or whatnot, is I haven't heard from my insurance agent in a year. I haven't heard from them since last time we wrote business. And this business, in my opinion, and in the opinion of Vertifor, is a relationship business. No matter how many automations you have, no matter how much technology you have and AI you have in your agency, we believe it's a relationship business. And so we want to help you build that relationship by sending out these emails and these automations and doing these things. So it's going to set you apart. Imagine, Brandon, if you get a random phone call 6 months after you wrote a policy with us, you forgot what date it was, but we have it in our system. 6 months later, you get an automated email that comes out, and it looks like it's a personally written email to Brandon Collins. It just says, "Hey, man, just want to check in with you, see how things were going in your business. Have you had a good year in sales so far, whatever it might be." But for us, we're trying to collect data to see if you've grown. So if we need to, base your policy next year on higher limits or lower limits based on what's going on. But to you, it's an email just saying, "Hey, how are you? How's your business going? How's sales?" Or if you get a random, Christmas card from us, it's going to make you feel like warm and fuzzy inside, or a birthday card. How'd they know it's my birthday? Well, we collected that data, we put it in our automation, it goes out. Little things like that. I've got a guy today, one of our clients, that has a big Flag Day celebration. Not to date the podcast, but today is Flag Day, and so we've got a client with a Flag Day celebration. So he sends out, all this automated information leading up to Flag Day, saying, our agency is, proudly supports America and the American flag, and they had this huge celebration in the parking lot where hundreds of people come in, his clients. And they do all kinds of really cool stuff with the American flag and showing how to fold it, how to protect it, how to do this. They have a cookout. They have a band that comes in. But that's an automated sequence of events that happens in the background. So it's just setting you apart.
Yeah. It sounds like keeping that customer relationship is like key with that software. It's keeping it going. It's keeping you relevant. It's keeping you top of mind. And I think that's kind of, honestly, especially in that industry that's very relationship based, it's almost priceless, right? Because once somebody is your client, they're going to stay your client because you're keeping that relationship going with them. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, exactly right.
Let me ask you a question. What are you guys currently doing to grow this business, to get more agents and agencies using this software and these services?
Yeah, we I work with our demand generation, team at Vertifor, and as a content marketing manager. And so what we try to do is just send out, our own automated emails. We do our own, campaigns and social media things. I've got a podcast that obviously, we talked about off air that I run and co-host with my partner Sid. And we try to do everything we can on our end to get in front of the customer. We go to events. There's about 1,000, I say that, but there's probably hundreds of conferences within our space that we go to. We put up, the trade fairs, and we show up, and or Sid or I will be on stage speaking at the events or leading panel discussions or doing live podcasting. And so we're doing everything that we can in that way.
Gotcha. No, I love it. It makes sense. You guys kind of put your money where your mouth is, right? You're setting up all these automations and these workflows and these customer relationship management tools for your clients. I'm glad you guys are doing it for your clients as well. Like your clients are using it for their clients, and you guys are doing it for the end user. So that's great. That's great.
Yeah, we've got to make sure that we're not just walking the walk or talking the talk. We're actually walking the walk as well. And so if we're expecting that, we want to make sure we're doing the same thing and showing them, and it makes it easier for us. We've got, I don't know, 3,000 employees or so, and a sales team, all across the country and even in Canada and other countries as well. And so we've got to make sure that we have our team on the same page. And I was on one of our big sales calls yesterday, and just in the background listening to get them pumped up and how they high five and get excited. And so we've got to make sure we have automations on our end as well. And so being a technology company makes that a little bit easier.
For sure. Well, let me ask you another question then.
Yes,
right?
sir.
This is the AI Impact podcast. So one of the things I always like to ask clients that I work with. And you know what? This is the first episode, so I should probably introduce myself a little bit as well. My name is Brandon. I'm the host of this podcast. I operate as a fractional chief artificial intelligence officer for multiple businesses. I'm an AI developer. I'm an AI consultant. I've written a book on AI that helps you go from zero to pro really quick as far as interacting with AI. It's very heavy on prompt engineering. I have a couple courses in progress that are being made right now. I'm working with medical schools to create AI for healthcare courses and guidance. And then I'm even working with a couple of high schools right now to bring AI into their curriculum. Software development and SaaS is something that is near and dear to me. I've got two softwares that are in development right now that are both heavily using AI. So that is my background. And that is one of the reasons I created this podcast, is because I go through a lot of these questions with my clients when I start to work with them. Right. So getting back to that question that I was going to ask you is, using, your imagination and everything that you currently know about AI, where do you see the AI could be implemented in your business right now to help with everything from increasing sales, helping with marketing, and other workflows that you have? It doesn't necessarily have to be with creating more revenue. It can be with improving those workflows, like onboarding and customer management and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's one of the things we're exploring right now, is trying to figure all that out. And as our company is owned by Vertafore, is owned by a larger company called Roper Technologies, which is a publicly traded company. And as we navigating through some of that, we're trying to figure out the best way that we can utilize AI in order to make the experience better. And we're dipping our toe into the generative AI space and trying to figure out the best way of doing that, because we see a lot of use cases where that could be useful. And then, as far as AI goes, anything that we can find that would make, as you mentioned, workflows easier to manage, or making automations that we have already set up easier to manage, whether that's using generative AI to help write the emails that go out so that you just feed it with a prompt and then feed it to, the algorithm, feed it to the machine and have that send that out. I don't know, some of that kind of stuff we haven't got nailed down quite yet to where I could speak about it in public, but we are open to anything that we can do, like I said, to be, the power our agents' possibilities. And so anything we can do to do that is something that we're open to. And if AI, we see that AI is the future. Yeah, the future is here now. I mean, obviously AI is already here. So for me to say AI is the future of our space, I mean, that's silly to say, but we understand that we've got to get on this train right now. And I'm a firm believer in that you don't have to use AI to get ahead in life, but if you don't, you're going to be lapped by those that do.
Yep. No, I agree. And honestly, it sounds like you guys are already pretty high up on that on the cutting edge of utilizing this technology. You're trying to get a hold of it. You're trying to use it more and more. And the way that I can see off the top of my head, using it without doing any kind of crazy programming or integrations or anything like that, is I would implement almost immediately. I would implement a AI strategy / course teaching call with every single person that is using your software, right? I would try to get that out there, maybe record it and then send it all out to them with the footnotes of it, just to give you an idea. This current call right now is being recorded with an AI note taker, and at the end of it, I'm going to get an email with all the important summary and notes of everything that we just talked about. This whole call is being transcribed as we speak in real time, and I'm going to be able to take all of that, and if I want to, I can reflect on it at a different time. So I think implementing tools like that would also be helpful for the users that are using your platform. Now, going back to the AI education component of it, being able to teaching your clients how to use AI to create those emails that are going to go out to they're going to go out to their clients. I think that's going to be pivotal. It'll allow them to really, really leverage the workflows that they're already getting. And on a programming side of it, one thing that I think would be really cool is, I have a feeling a lot of your clients are going to be on LinkedIn. I have a feeling they're all pretty professional people, and there are ways that you can connect LinkedIn to your software so that before an email goes out on, say, like an anniversary of them working with you, or on their birthday or a holiday, it could pull information from LinkedIn. If they've updated it, like say they got a new job, they got a new raise, they got a new position or something like that, it would be able to pull that information and immediately craft the email to include that information. So it would feel really, really personal, and I think they would feel compelled to stay with an agency, or an agent that is paying that close of attention to them, and congratulating them on their personal and professional efforts that they're putting online for everybody to see. I think that would be a really cool integration, that if we were working together, I would definitely push for that, because I think that would be game changing. I don't think there's any other agency or software that's doing something like that specifically for the insurance industry.
Yeah, no, I think you're dead on. I think that's a good idea. I think that, there's I think before any agency can implement any kind of AI, any company can open any kind of, get into AI, they need to kind of do an assessment within their agency to figure out what's best for them. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on how a small business owner or an agency owner could sit down and assess. Sorry, you got a podcaster interviewing a podcaster. So now I'm going to flip it on you a minute, because I'd love to know where someone would start if they were an agency owner or a large 300-pound gorilla or 800-pound gorilla like ourselves. Where would you start as far as assessing the situation? Where would you need to go first?
That is a massive ocean, because there's so many things that AI can do for you. I would assess what is taking one. I would look at two things, right? I would look at what is taking the most time from you, and then I would look at what is making the most money for you, right? Because I'm a very 80-20 type of person. Talking about the 80-20 rule, right? If you know that this specific thing that you're doing is creating 80% of the revenue for you, then you shouldn't be spending only 20% of your time on that specific thing, right? And a lot of times we end up doing that. We're like, hey, you know what? If I can just get these extra things implemented, it's going to supplement the amount of money that I'm already making. And it's like, no, if you put 80% of your energy into the thing that's making 80% of your income, then chances are you're going to be making a lot more. So I would look at those two things. I'd look at what's taking the most time and what's making the most money. And then I would look at where can I put AI and automations into that. So if what's taking the most time is social media planning, social media posting, trying to create your presence, and creating social proof on social media and these different platforms, I would implement AI to take that whole process away from me. There are softwares and systems and AIs out there that can generate weeks and months worth of content and schedule it within a couple hours.
I think that, to that point, Vertafore, we use a software called Hootsuite, that is one of those AI, softwares that help with our social media posting, and we get posted at Hootsuite and it goes to all of them, and that's AI software. And then, One of them that I didn't even realize was AI that I've used for a long time is Grammarly.
Yep.
And I use Grammarly on a regular because I can't spell for I'm from Arkansas. We don't know how to spell Arkansas, much less anything else. And so, when I'm looking at that and I see Grammarly pop up, I was like, oh, wait a minute. That's AI. And they help me with my sentence structuring, and they give me ideas and suggestions of what I can do there. And so we're already using AI so much in our regular lives. I just thought I'd be interested to know from you, what are some opportunities that insurance agents, because we both, could share in the same customer base there with insurance agents. And so we're looking for the best way at Vertipore to implement AI. And again, there's so much we can do with generative AI. There's so much we can do in that space alone. And so anyway, I just thought, I appreciate you letting me flip it on you for just a minute and see
Yeah,
your thoughts on that, because
absolutely.
there's a lot there.
If and I say social media because especially for that industry, your personal brand is your brand. You might
Yeah.
be a part of this insurance organization, this company or whatever, but people aren't looking at that. People are looking at you.
Yep.
And social media is where you create your personal brand. It is, and that's the way it's been for over 2 decades now. So I think using AI to leverage that social media, there's a couple other tools that I know about and that I might implement depending on where that agent or agency is. There's tools that can turn your personal Facebook account into an AI DM appointment setter
Oh
by
yeah.
scraping your target clients into a list, and then it reaches out to them and gets them scheduled on a call with you. That's one way that I helped grow a couple businesses. There's AI that can automate engagement, and you got to be careful with that kind of stuff because it's a double-edged sword. If you don't do it right, if you don't program it right, you can fast track your way to ruin your reputation.
Yeah.
So when I work with people, I set that up correctly for them so that it doesn't sound like AI, it sounds like them. And that's another thing, right? Everybody hates the way the AI sounds because it's so obvious that it's AI.
Yeah.
Well, there are ways to make AI sound just like you, right? And I know how to
Yeah.
do it. I go over it in the book that I wrote using AI like a pro. I have that as an extra in there. If you follow all the steps on it, then when you're using AI to create content, especially copy, then that content will be written in your voice and your tone.
Yeah.
You won't have to make any kind of or if you do, very little changes to the output that comes from it. So those are the types of tools that I would implement immediately. They're very, very easy tools to implement. The fun stuff that I like doing is like the software programming, right? Adding in different automations, maybe using stuff like Make to automate workflows, or if they have a robust CRM like yours, we can, if I was to be able to get into that CRM to do things like that LinkedIn, grabbing data from LinkedIn from that personal person or from that person, that personal client, right? And all it would take is just knowing which profile that they need to go
Yeah.
to, and the API could go to it, pull that information, and craft an email based on that. So
Yeah, and Brandon, I'd love to hear. I mean, you're obviously the expert on this, and I'm glad to be here on this podcast with you. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on, because one of the things I'm seeing a lot in our space is robot process automations, and it's the most fascinating thing. It's not anything that we do at Vertipore, but it's just something I'm seeing in the insurance space. I'm sure it's out there in other spaces. Do you have any thoughts on RPAs and what you're seeing there?
robot process automations. So can you give me an example of what that
Yeah,
looks like?
so
Because there's so many different like
Yeah,
acronyms
yeah.
out
So what I'm seeing a lot of agencies they're using that for, like you were talking about, day-to-day routines, everything that little things like maybe entering a new client in their CRM system. They could program a robot inside the agency to enter that data in there for them. So you could see the mouse moving around and clicking on all the different fields and typing that information in as maybe a chat bot is taking the information, and you got them entering it in. So it doesn't take a human at all to do it. You could just go from chatbot to the form using robot process automation.
Yep, very possible, very doable. That's one way of doing it, in having like a robot control your screen to do it. The other way would be to use like an API if you have access to that
Yeah.
company's API. That would probably be an easier way to do it. But I have used and I have programmed robot process automation before. It's pretty dang cool because a lot of times if there's not an API or if the API that's available doesn't allow you to put that kind of information in there or to have that kind of customization, then using robot process automation softwares like that are a good way to fill that gap. So yeah, I would highly recommend it if part of the onboarding workflow or part of just the workflow in general, no matter where the customer is in that process, requires some type of repetitive some type of repetitive process to be done that can't be done through an API. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I just, I think what you were talking about is exactly right. It is one of the coolest things to see. And the first time I saw it, I was freaked out when I was watching this guy's computer screen, and he had the mouse just moving on its own, and it was like, what in the world is going on? And he was like, man, I don't have to touch it. It's taking all this information, it's doing it every morning. He's got it programmed to do certain things in the morning to get it set up and do all these things, and it's just unbelievable. Little things, it doesn't have to be anything like major, but he just has it set up to do little bitty things like, send out an email every morning with a motivational quote, to say good morning to his team. It's like, that bit's genius. It's little things, but those little things, his team gets an email every morning that says, hey, good morning, this is Brandon. I'd love to say hi and see how you're doing today, blah, blah, blah. Here's the agenda for today, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm. And you know what, having the foresight to want to do stuff like that, or even just wanting to have more ideas like that, one of the first things I would do if something that someone was trying to do is I would ask AI for more ideas.
Yeah.
Right? I would be like, hey, I want to create a better relationship with my employees by doing small little things that make them feel valued. Ask AI, and AI will tell you a whole bunch of stuff that you can do that you can most likely automate. And it'll be life or not life. It'll be make all the difference in the world to the people that work with you. So
yeah, I agree 100%. And to that point, I have a lot of agencies that I've worked with. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this too. Is they'll be asking me like, okay, you talk about workflows. We don't even have any workflows set up, and so I might go to ChatGPT and type in what are some workflows I could put into my agency, and then customize it from there. But I didn't know. I would love to hear your thoughts on using generative AI tools like ChatGPT or Copilot, which is the Microsoft version of it, or whoever it might be that you're using generative AI with, how they could do that in their business. I mean, this is your first episode, so I'd love for other agents, besides insurance, other industries to hear how you could use generative AI.
Absolutely. So, the day of this recording is June 14th, right? So, if you're watching this in the far future, things might have changed. But right now, the most powerful GPT out there is GPT-4 Omni or 4.0, right? It blows everything else away. Even things like the latest update of Claude, it's still better than that one, right? GPT 4.0 is the cream of the crop. So I would use GPT 4.0, and then what I would do is,
and as of right now, June 14th, it's free. The upgrade's free for a minute. For a minute.
Yeah. And what I would probably do is with AI, especially with GPT, it's garbage in, garbage out. So you need to make sure you're talking to it correctly. And, because when you throw in diamonds, you're going to get more diamonds. So what I would probably do I would say, act as the chief operations officer for, a Fortune 100 company that's been assigned to work with me at this insurance agency. Here's some information about my insurance agency and our current processes, XYZ. And then I would go in and I would say, here is your task. I would like to start automating some of our workflows. Based on the information that you know about me, please give me some examples of workflows that you could help me automate, or workflows that I should automate based on the information that you know about me, right? And what I've done there is I've given GPT an identification. It's now going to say, okay, I am a COO of a Fortune 100 company. This is how I need to think. I need to be thinking in efficiency. I need to be thinking in creating the most value for the least amount of money. I need to be thinking in optimizing everything that I possibly can. And then the task is create the workflows based on the information they know about the company. But I would take it one step further and I would say, hey, before you give me your recommendations, ask me any clarifying questions that you can think of. And then after you do that, it's going to ask you a whole bunch of clarifying questions. You're going to give it all the information that it needs, and then it's going to give you the workflow recommendations. That's what I would recommend doing. And that right there, for all the listeners, if you if you just take that from this first episode, like, hey, act as this. Here's the information. This is what I want you to do. Ask me some clarifying questions. And then boom, it's going to give you everything that you need and more, and it's going to be a lot more powerful. It's going to be a game changer for you if you can just implement that.
Yeah, that's a great idea, and I think you're right. Setting up that from the very jump, I love that you talked about that, because a lot of people don't know that, and they're like, oh, ChatGPT doesn't work for me, or it doesn't sound like me. You can set it up, like you said, any way you want to. And there's a lot of times, depending on my audience that I'm typing an email to or I'm writing content for, I might change it and say, hey, write this in the style of a millennial if I'm talking to someone in that age range. Or I might say I'm sending this email out to baby boomers, so I need you to change the content to match the voice of a baby boomer or a Gen Xer or whatever it might be. And it's really cool to see, and what's really interesting is if you put in, just for fun, type this email with Gen Z slang and watch what it does. It's pretty funny. Or Gen Alpha slang, which is what I've got in the house. I got Gen Alphas, and the stuff they say, I don't even know what they're saying. I almost cursed, so I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah.
The stuff that they say, I have no clue. But it's funny to see ChatGPT come after it.
Absolutely. And what I would say, because we got about 5 minutes left here,
Sure.
what I would say is, to the listeners of this podcast, one of the things that I teach my clients how to do is how to make AI sound like them. If you want to make AI sound like you can do one of two things. One, you can buy my book, and I'll tell you exactly how to do it. All right. Two, you can reach out to me, and I will work with you personally, and we can create what's called a personality prompt tag. You take this personality prompt tag and you put it before or after every single prompt that you make with ChatGPT, and the output is going to be written in your tone, your style of language, your voice. Right. So that is one thing that everybody can start utilizing immediately. The other thing that I wanted to ask, since I got you here, Heath, I would like to ask you, for the listeners of this podcast, is there anything you'd like to offer them just for taking the time to listen to what you're all about?
Yeah. So, really and truly, if you're in the insurance space, I would love to hear from you if you're interested in anything that has to do with the technology that can implement in your agency to power your possibilities. We're obsessed with the insurance industry, and so that would be number one. Number two, if you're in the insurance space and you're just looking for someone to visit with, someone to talk to, a veteran of the space that's got the gray hair, that's been around for 22 years, that could talk to you about workflows, about automations, or about sales in general. I would love to talk to you about setting up your sales team for success. I'd love to talk to you about that kind of thing. If you're interested in setting up a niche in your space and setting up a podcast, I've helped agencies set up podcasts for restaurant business or for trucking, and creating that vertical through a podcast and becoming an industry expert by using podcasting, webinars, things of that nature. I'd love to hear from you. My email address is heath@insurancepodcast.com or hshearon@vertifor.com. And I could give you that information to put in the show notes if you don't mind.
Yep. It'll all be in the description, man. All your links, anything that you want to include.
Yeah, dude.
We'll include that into.
I hope that more people listen to this, reach out to you to help you, help them set up those prompts, set up the workflows, things of that nature. I think what you're doing is cool. And I would love for you to share with your audience again, because I want to make sure they get the name of that book.
Yeah. I'll put the link to it in the description. The book is called Using AI Like a Pro. It's a fairly new book. I actually just released it on June 1st. It's fairly small. I mean, it's very sweet and to the point. There's only about 90 pages in it, and I walk you through step by step how to go from zero to prompt expert using ChatGPT. I don't just give you prompts. I teach you how you need to think to apply that information in those prompts to your specific situation. So I like people to think, how can I use AI to help me solve a problem? Not, what can AI do for me?
And where can they find this book?
Using AI like a pro.com is
Okay.
is the website for it. Yeah.
Awesome.
So that'd be the place to get to.
What I would love to do is I'll purchase 10 of those, and then if anybody will reach out to me, just to talk to me about some things or what I've talked about on the podcast, I'll give you a copy. I'm gonna keep one for myself, but so maybe I'll get 11. But if
Yeah.
anybody wants to reach out to me, and we'll make that happen.
For sure, for sure. Well, hey, thank you so much for being on here, Heath.
Yeah, brother.
Really amazing first episode. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, bro.
Looking forward to the next one, maybe in a couple months. The way AI is changing and everything, I'd love to hear about what you guys are doing in a couple months.
For
If you've
sure.
implemented anything that we've talked about. But
Why
yeah,
don't you come on my show as well? I'd love to have you come on and your expertise come into my show as well. So let's exchange info on that too.
For sure, for sure. Hell yeah. Well, hey, Heath, it was good. We'll see